Saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Welcome, friends, to this Wednesday evening Dhamma discussion and meditation practice. So I hope you're all able to get the mailing I sent out on Monday, giving the the title of the topic for this evening's discussion, being the Aggi Sutta in the Samyutta Nikaya. Aggi means fire. I don't know exactly why it has the name fire, because in the sutta itself, fire is not mentioned as such. Of course, there's another more famous fire sermon that the Buddha gave. But anyway, this the essence of this discussion of the Buddha, teaching of the Buddha, is about balancing the 7 factors of enlightenment. Now we know that the 7 factors of enlightenment are the very important mental qualities, mental powers that we need to cultivate in order to develop wisdom to destroy and overcome the mental defilements. And so we'll talk more precisely about that as we come to that, but I just want to set the tone of this sutta, because it's very interesting. And many of the suttas are based on meetings that the Buddha or the Buddha's disciples had with other wandering ascetics who held different viewpoints and so on. And so the Buddha's disciples and the Buddha himself would sometimes visit these groups of wandering ascetics, and sometimes they would visit the Buddhist disciples. So anyways, one day some group of the Buddhist disciples decided to pay a visit to a group of these wandering ascetics, and they had some discussion. So these ascetics asked these monks, they told the monks, "Oh, your teacher, Master Gotama, he teaches his disciples the Dhamma, very clearly, and so on, and we, meaning these ascetic teachers, they're saying that they also teach their disciples the Dhamma that is, good in the middle, good in the beginning, the middle, and the end." And so basically they're kind of asserting that there's no difference between the teachings of the Buddha and the teachings of these wandering ascetics. So the monks didn't get into any arguments with these ascetics, but they decided to go back to the Buddha and tell the Buddha what had happened. And so then the Buddha said, well, the difference between my teachings and the teachings of these wandering ascetics is, if these ascetics asked you, about, let's say, the 5 hindrances especially, or the seven factors of enlightenment, they might be able to just say, yes, the seven factors of enlightenment are mindfulness, investigation, energy, joy, calmness, concentration, and equanimity. But they wouldn't be able to tell you in detail how to actually practice them, or especially how to balance them. And that's because it's beyond their ken, their keen, beyond their ability to explain the Dhamma in clear details the way the Buddha was able to do that. So that's kind of the setting of this teaching. And so it's about, again, balancing the factors of enlightenment. So I'm going to repeat them. So basically, the seven factors of enlightenment actually belong to part of the Satipatthana Sutta, so the four foundations of mindfulness. The seven factors of enlightenment are included in the fourth section of the Satipatthana Sutta, or the Dhammanupassana, the section on the mental powers, the mental factors. The seven factors of enlightenment are mindfulness is the first one. And so, we practice the mindfulness in order to be aware of what is going on in our mind, and also to overcome the five hindrances. And especially this instruction of the Buddha was about, how to balance and use the factors of enlightenment to overcome sluggishness and restlessness. So, there's usually two states of our mind. In meditation, the mind can be very calm. You can, by developing concentration, mindfulness and concentration, the hindrances can subside and the mind will become calm. But if it becomes too calm, it can sink into a kind of what I call a sinking state. And if you get too concentrated, then the mind can either get too quiet and not be able to investigate, or a person can just get stuck in the piti and the sukha of this tranquility and not go on to investigate and develop insight into impermanence and no self. So anyway, and the other extreme of the mind is restlessness. So the mind can either get too calm, in which is not able to really investigate and develop wisdom, or it's too restless and it's just jumping around all over the place and distracted, and also therefore cannot develop concentration and wisdom. So how to, in this particular sutta, he's explaining how these factors of awakening or enlightenment are used to balance or to rouse up the sluggishness, to get out of the sluggish mind or the sleepy mind, the drowsy mind, or the hindrance of sloth and torpor, or tina and midda, and how to calm the overactive, restless mind. So I'm going to just read part of this, how the Buddha actually the Buddha is now addressing the monks. He said, monks, whenever wanderers of other sects speak in that way that their teaching and my teaching is the same, they should be addressed in this way. You should tell them, on any occasion when the mind is sluggish, which of the factors of awakening is it that the wrong time to develop? So this is what the Buddha is advising his monks, that when the wanderers of other sects ask him about the difference in the teaching, then they should ask those wanderers, which of the 7 factors of enlightenment is the wrong time to develop, and which of the factors of an awakening are the right time to develop. And he said they'll not be able to tell you, they'll not be able to explain it properly because they themselves have not developed it. So, he's saying, when the mind is restless, which of the factors of awakening is the wrong to develop, and which of the factors of awakening is the right time to develop? So 3 factors of awakening, he's going to be saying. 3 factors. When the mind is sluggish is the time to develop 3 of the factors of awakening. And when the mind is overactive and restless, the other 3 factors of awakening should then be developed. Because 3 factors will arouse the sleepy mind, will awaken the sleepy mind to make it more alert and aware, and 3 will calm the over-restless and overactive mind. So he says, on any occasion when the mind is sluggish, that is the right time to develop the investigation of Dhamma, energy, and rapture of the factors of awakening. And why is that? The sluggish mind is easy to raise up by those mental qualities of investigation, energy, and rapture. And so he gives a nice little simile. Just as if a man wanting to make a small fire blaze up, so let's say you have a small little fire with a few little sticks and you want to make it, bigger, and it's kind of dying out. You want to raise it up. Now, if a person were to put dry grass, dry cow dung, dry sticks, and were to blow on it with his mouth, is it possible that he would make that small fire blaze up? And the monks reply, yes, Bhante. Why is that? Because the sluggish mind is easy to wake up by using the factors of investigation, energy, and joy. So basically those are part of the factors of concentration, developing concentration, and mindfulness and investigation. So the sluggish mind, whenever, if you're meditating and you catch the mind, kind of always nodding out. Of course, I have some other suggestions to make even before that, is that, straighten your posture, check your posture, take some deep, slow breaths and things like that. But then to investigate means the Dhamma Vichaya, which is sort of like questioning the mind, like, if investigating the mental states. Why does anger arise? Why does greed arise? Why does delusion arise? Why is the mind full of pains? Or what is this body made up of? Basically, the 4 foundations of mindfulness comprise this investigation of Dhamma. So, the four foundations of mindfulness, such as mindfulness of breathing, mindfulness of the body, at the end of those paragraphs, the Buddha says, and what are the arising factors of the breathing, the dissolution factors of the breathing? That means, how does breathing arise? How does it cease? How does this material body arise? How does it cease? And of course, the short answer is because of birth. The body is born and it becomes a body, and then it starts breathing, and things like that. Or how does this mind, how do our various mind states arise? How does anger arise? Well, it arises because you've kept on practicing anger for many, many years. It's become a habit. Or you're attached to whatever objects are causing this anger to arise. And the same with greed or lust. So this investigation is a kind of questioning and analysis of whatever is disturbing the mind. Then you investigate it, and that will help to waken up the mind. And then the energy, it takes energy to do that. So the energy that you give in to wakening up the mind in this way of investigating and reconcentrating, that is a way also that you overcome the tina and mida, or the sluggishness of the mind. And then the rapture. And that means when you gain concentration even through investigation and the energy you're putting into that, you can gain the first jhana from that, or at least access concentration. And when you do that, you will feel the piti, the pleasant sensations and the rapture that comes along with getting close to that kind of first jhanic level concentration. So that is how you overcome that sluggishness of the mind by those enlightenment factors of investigation, energy, and what they call rapture or joy. But basically it's those kind of, blissful kind of sensations that you feel in the body, waves of energy and so on, that are, very pleasant, intensely pleasant sensation that wakens up the mind. Now, on the other hand, if the mind is too active, that means it's wandering around too much, there's too much, too much investigation that's going on that's causing you to think too much, then that is when you need to calm the mind down by the three enlightenment factors of calmness, concentration, and equanimity. So the first three factors, the very first factor is mindfulness. We'll talk about it at the end. But the enlightenment factors 2, 3, and 4 are to wake up the mind, and the 5, 6, and 7 are to calm down the mind if it gets too active. And those are the passaddhi, which is probably very similar to maybe access concentration. That means the mind and body gain a very tranquil state. And so even then you'll start to feel some of those piti sensations too, but they're very calming. And then concentration. So concentration means the first jhana. When he mentions concentration in these instances, it means attaining the first jhana, in which the 5 hindrances have been overcome and subsided, and the mind gains that tranquility, but not to the point of getting too calm. And then the equanimity. So the calmness, the concentration, and the equanimity help to calm down any excitement or just overactivity of the mind. That means restlessness, doubts, the various categories of various thoughts. So it would be like 4 of the 5 hindrances: sensual desire, ill will, restlessness, and doubt. All of these mean thinking, a lot of neurotic type of thinking, unconcentrated thinking. And so that is what we aim to calm that down in order for the mind to gain the balance. So we're gaining a balance. You don't want the mind too calm, but you don't want it to be too active too. And that's how mindfulness and concentration help to keep that balance. So that's the way that the Buddha describes on how to balance those those qualities of the mind. Now, mindfulness, at the end, having explained that in the sutta, and then he says, as for mindfulness, I tell you, that serves every purpose. So mindfulness will help you to wake up the sluggish mind, and it will also help to calm down the overactive mind. And so, the mindfulness is always like the fulcrum, like on a swing set. You have a heavy person on one seat of a swing set, and the other, or what do they call it, a teeter-totter? In the playgrounds, you used to have a teeter-totter, right? So, the weight of each person going like this. But if you got a really heavy person on one side, then the light person gets held up. So the mindfulness is like the balance that keeps the mindfulness and the concentration in their proper development, in their proper mutual supporting each other. So you could say overactive mindfulness would be like restless. I mean, you're trying to be aware of so many things, you don't have concentration, so that mindfulness gets scattered. So you have to calm it down. And if you get too calm, then again, you won't be aware of too many things, you won't be aware of impermanence and so on. So that is the way that you start being more mindful and to wake up the mind. Now I want to explain the actual, in meditation, how these 7 factors of enlightenment work. Now, the Buddha doesn't mention them right away. They come, as the 4th or 5th category of Dhammanupassana. If you follow the 4 foundations of mindfulness, the development of them is first you do mindfulness of the body to get the mind grounded and centered in the present moment, and weaken the hindrances, and developing concentration. And then once you get centered in the body, then you have a front row seat to observing the painful and pleasant sensations that are coming and going. Because if you don't have concentration, you'll be overwhelmed or react to the pleasant and painful sensations, and they will distract your mind. So it's that being centered and grounded in the present moment, in the breathing body, and having weakened the hindrances that you're able to clearly see, this is a painful feeling. You can observe it, relax around it, see how it lasts a few seconds, disappears. The same with any pleasant sensations. You can be aware, okay, this is a pleasant sensation. You know how it arises, how it persists, and how it ceases. So this is the part of the investigation that's included in the Satipatthana Sutta. Anyway, and then you once you're observed, because all of our thoughts are triggered off by the sensations, the pleasant and painful feelings are what trigger off your thoughts about them. Worry, fear, greed, hatred, delusion, and so on. And so by having detachment to the sensations, when the thoughts arise, you're able to see those thoughts also with some sense of just onlooking awareness. Oh, there's a thought of anger, so it's just anger. No big deal, nothing to get angry about. And you just, see the urge to want to think or react, or even a painful feeling. Okay, it's just pain, so what? It's not going to kill me. And you endure it a bit, it vanishes. And you don't interrupt your meditation. So in that way, that concentration creates this space of observation, but it's that concentration keeps the mindfulness keeps the mind awake. Otherwise, you might stop feeling the body and not be aware. Because, Vipassana meditation, the ultimate goal in meditation is developing insight into impermanence, suffering, and no self, which is done by following the four foundations of mindfulness, not just concentrating on some object and absorbing in it some immaterial jhana or something like that, where you lose awareness of everything around you. So, the mindfulness is where these factors of enlightenment are, developed. So the mindfulness is basically, it's in order to be called a factor of enlightenment, that the mind has to reach the first jhana. That's only when the five hindrances are subsided, then the mindfulness becomes an enlightenment factor. Otherwise, it's just ordinary mindfulness. There's a difference. Most people don't know this difference, but there is absolutely a difference between ordinary mindfulness, which you still have hindrances coming and going. And sure, you can be mindful and think you're mindful, but it's a very low quality. It's like having a low octane gasoline in your gas tank. And the engine's making noise and so on. But by practicing mindfulness, by being aware of the hindrances, being mindful of them, you can overcome them, and then you can attain the first jhana by practicing mindfulness. You don't have to practice concentration as a separate thing. The mindfulness leads to the concentrated state. And that's why it's called a factor of enlightenment. Because that's when you can clearly then investigate the Dhamma. You can clearly, observe the five aggregates and the six senses, and you can start tuning in, seeing how quickly body and mental phenomena are starting to arise and vanish, and see how developing insight into anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So that's the investigation. Only when the mind has become very clear, it's like looking down through a microscope turned up to 100 power or more. You can see the minute little activities of the mind, and you're still awake, and you can observe them, and especially in terms of impermanence. So that's investigation. While doing that, you gain energy. You develop the enlightenment factor of energy. And it's similar to a scientist. If a scientist is trying to find the cure for a disease, let's say a scientist is trying to find the cure of a cancer. So, he has to get a microscope, and he has to turn it up, keep turning it up to higher and higher power in order to see subtler and subtler details of, cells, and then even molecules and DNA, and he keeps turning up the power of the microscope, even to maybe even see, atoms and so on. So in the same way, that's the power of the concentration. The more concentration you have, first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, is like turning that power up more to see the minute details of anicca, dukkha, and anatta. And so when the scientist is getting close to seeing how he's getting close to discovering the cause of the sickness, he could stay up all day and night, or for a long time, because he would have such energy, getting energy out of observing this process and getting closer to the truth. That is what gives you the energy. If the mind is sluggish and it's not really making any progress, that the mind just gives up. But that's when you're really, you're pushing the edge and you're discovering more and more subtler details. You get a lot of energy, but it's a calm energy. It's not a neurotic type of, energy. It's a very calm energy. So that's the enlightenment factor of energy. Again, these are enlightenment factors. So they're different from ordinary factors that you start with. And it's because one has the first jhanic level, first jhana concentration, which then gives those factors their extra power to be actually factors of that leading to enlightenment. So and because of that, that energy, then that gives you a lot of joy, because you're already in the jhana at that level. First, or maybe even more, the second jhana you could be, depending on. And so you're experiencing the piti and the sukha, the joy and the happiness that comes with that. And that causes the body and mental tranquility to arise. So the body and mind become very, very tranquil, but very, very bright and alert. But a very tranquil alertness. That's the difference between a alertness that's scattered and so on, as opposed to an alertness that's tranquil. Because most people get tranquil, they go to sleep. So most people don't know how to stay very, very tranquil, but stay very, very alert and awake at the same time. And then the next factor of enlightenment is concentration, which means, if you're attaining the jhana, if you haven't already, or if you were just access concentration, that all that previous work leading up to it, then you attain the samadhi as the sixth factor of awakening. And that could be first, second, third, or fourth jhana, whichever power you've been able to cultivate. And equanimity is the seventh factor of enlightenment. And we all know that equanimity arises only with the third and the fourth jhana. So right there, if you understand the Pali and understand the technical Pali terms and so on, that, equanimity, upekkha, arises only in the real upekkha. An enlightenment factor of upekkha arises in the third jhana, and then is most powerful in the fourth jhana. And if you can maintain that long enough, then the next step is magga phala. That means entering the stream or, other stages of enlightenment. So that's why they're called the factors of enlightenment, because when these factors are developed at that level, they end up in, attaining those stages of liberation. So anyway, that's what I just wanted to mention this evening. And but I recommend you going back and reading through the Sutta, because it's interesting to read in the Buddha's own words. And let me see if there was any chat, something in the chat. Okay. Besides being mindful, any other way to deal when ill will, lust, and doubt are present? How to practice the other six factors of enlightenment separately from mindfulness? You can't practice them separate from mindfulness. Really. You deal with those mental states, lust, doubt, ill will, wandering thoughts, you have to apply the 5 ways of dealing with the wandering thoughts that the Buddha taught in the Vitakka Santana Sutta, which I think is number 19 in the Majjhima Nikaya. Buddha tells the 5 ways of dealing with these kind of distracting thoughts. If mindfulness isn't enough, if they keep coming back, that's when you investigate them. If you have a sensual, lustful thought, you put it in front of you and say, what is so important about you? Why do you keep coming back? Why are you there? Ask it a question. Ask yourself that question. And then you might hear your mind reply, well, because I like lust, I like the, erotic fantasies or whatever. Okay, well, that's your problem then. Because you've been cultivating these things for months, years and years. That's why they keep coming. And the same with anger, angry thoughts, doubtful thoughts. You keep on reading too many spurious other teachings and get all confused and doubts about, people now are saying the Buddha wasn't even born in India, and people are trying to raise all kind of doubts about, rebirth is not real, and all kind of, they're trying to bring, there's a lot of spurious, teachings out there. So, and people read too much, and then they start believing that. And so that's why if you want to follow the Buddha's teachings, you have to know what the Buddha's teachings are, and you have to trust those teachings as being the real teaching, not all these other teachings that are going on. Now, some of them may be useful, but not to get up to the higher stages. Anyway, that's our point of view. But anyway, so that is how you do that. You go back and read the Vitakka Santana Sutta, number 19, I believe, in Majjhima Nikaya, to find out those 5 ways of dealing with those thoughts. And there's some other suttas too. The first 20, there's a couple of suttas dealing with that. I've given talks about it. You can go back in the archive of my YouTube channel and find out, the topic of dealing with the 5 hindrances. I've given at least a couple talks on that before. Okay. And also you have to, these factors of enlightenment, let's say, to be factors of enlightenment, yes, you have to be in a meditative state, but you can practice ordinary mindfulness and effort and restraint, in your daily life by just being mindful and stop indulging your thoughts and stop indulging your desires, do lots of things, because all these distracting things, like, that's why the precepts are there, especially for meditators, to not indulge in, various types of distracting behaviors like uncontrolled eating and, learning how to be more disciplined in your life and not watching all kind of, shows, movies and other shows, or singing, dancing, all these things that excite the mind. So, okay. So in that sutta, this person is pointing out that the monks neither delighted in the words of the wanderers or reject them. Well, they didn't want to get it wrong. Usually, you hear this same kind of scenario in various suttas. So whenever the monks heard wanderers talking about the Buddha, they, instead of giving their own opinions, they want to make sure they're not misrepresenting what the Buddha said. So they go back to the Buddha and they say, we had this talk with these other wandering monks, and is that right or not? And then the Buddha would correct them and tell them, that what you told them was right or what you told them was not right. Sometimes they didn't get it right. And the Buddha would rebuke the monks for not explaining the Dhamma clearly, like that. So, they wanted to make sure that these people heard it from the Buddha, they didn't misrepresent them. Okay, so friends, I think we will stop there, and maybe you can review this material during the next week, and next week you can, if any other questions about any of them come up, you can have some questions for next week. Okay, so we'll take a few minutes break and come back and do some yoga stretches and then our meditation practice. Okay, so see you back in a few minutes.
Thank you, Bhante. Very good. Very good today.
Okay, friends, just try to stand straight, relax your arms at the sides, keep your chin lifted up level to the floor. Gently close your eyes, begin some deep, slow breathing. Try to take 2 or 3 seconds to expand your abdomen, rib cage, and upper chest. Hold the air in the lungs for 2 or 3 seconds, then slowly breathe out, feeling the last bit of air go out of the lungs. Just take a few more deep breaths like that, developing this mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we're going to coordinate that slow, deep breathing with these movements. Do the movement on the in-breath, holding that position for 2 seconds and returning to the starting point. On the out-breath, repeating each one 3 times. The whole time, keep your attention focused in the body, feeling the sensation, letting go of your thoughts. So on the next in-breath, raise the arms over the head, interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, straighten your arms, stretch the head back, stretch upwards, and release your fingers. The out-breath, arms back to the sides. Again, in-breath, hands over the head, stretch the hands up, stretch the head back, bend backwards a little bit, feel the arch in the spine. Release the fingers, out breath. Once more, in. Hold the upward stretch longer, bend back a little more. Feel the sensations. Release the fingers, out breath. Close the eyes. Feel the increased body sensations. Clothing touching the outer skin. Life force sensations under the skin. Heartbeat or pulsations, tingling sensations, prickly sensations. Just remember the present moment of standing, standing, standing. Just let your thoughts come and go in the back of the mind. Keep the breathing body in the front of the awareness. On the next in-breath, lift up on the toes and raise the arms over the head in this way. Face the hands toward each other and stretch up. Out breath, come back down. Use the in-breath to help lift up the body and blowing up the helium balloon. Body rises up with the breath. The out breath comes back down. Once more, in, stretch, out. Close the eyes, relax. Just keep feeling the sensations, especially in your hands and fingers. You feel the increased pulsation, raising the arms up and down, blood circulation. Just remember standing, standing, standing. Don't give the mind time to get lost in thought. Next we'll do side bending using both arms. So on the next in-breath, raise both arms up. Keep your fingers and arms straight, close to your head. On the out-breath, bend over your right side as far as you comfortably can. Keep your arms parallel to each other like railroad tracks. In-breath, lift up. Then the other side, out-breath. In-breath, up. Keep alternating sides, out-breath to the right. In-breath. Out-breath, left. Once more to each side. The out breath, lower the arms. Let's close the eyes. Try to feel the outline of the standing body in the mind's eye. The head on top, arms at the sides, feet pressing the floor, clothing touching the skin. Should be able to feel some or all of those sensations. Mindfulness of the body. now standing, present moment, body-centered awareness. You can now spread your legs apart about 3 feet, wider the better. And hold the arms out to the sides. We'll do twisting from right to left. We'll breathe in. On the out breath, twist to the right. Keep your eyes focused on the hand going back. Let your feet turn a little bit. In breath, come back to the front. Let the feet turn with the body, then twist to the other side. Out breath. In breath. Front. Keep alternating sides. Breathing, out breath. Out. Once more to each side. Lower the arms. Feel each foot pressing the floor. Feel the sensation of the legs spread apart, hands touching the sides. Feel the clothing touching the skin. Feel the head on top. Feel the eyes in the socket. This body exactly as it is, here and now. Present moment, body-centered awareness, natural consciousness. Now place the hands together at the chest. On the in-breath, raise the hands over the head. On the out-breath, lower the hands to the chest and bend the knees, lower the body down. And keep the back upright, feel the stretch in your hips and knees. The in-breath, all the way up. And out breath, lower down, and come down a little farther. In. Third time. In. The out breath comes back to the sides. Close the eyes. Feel the whole body. Now we're going to do the forward and backward bending. Be careful with the back bend. Don't bend back too far the first time. Especially when you lift up from a back bend, there could be some body shaking or some dizziness. And breathe in. On the out breath, bend forward, keep the head lifted up. Let your hands come to the kneecaps the first time. Try to flatten the spine. Keep looking out straight ahead. Feel the stretch in the leg muscles. In breath, lift up. Move the hands under the buttocks for support. Let your head go back. On the out breath, gently bend backwards. Keep your eyes open. Feel the arch in the spine. In breath, carefully lift up. On the next out breath, bend forward again. Let your hands come below the knees, about halfway if you can. Still keep the head lifted up. Feel the extra stretch in the back of the legs, in the spine. In breath, lift up. Once more, the back bend. Just be careful. The out breath. In breath, lift up. On the third time, let the hands come down as far as you can towards your feet, your ankles or feet, and then hold on to your legs or ankles longer. Hold that longer. Feel the stretch in the back of the legs, the hamstring muscles. Let the little bones in the lower spine stretch out. Keep the head lifted up. Feel all the sensations. And the in-breath, carefully lift up. One more time, the back bend, just be careful. Out breath. In-breath, lift up. On the out breath, just relax the shoulders. Feel each foot pressing the floor. Feel the clothing touching the skin. Feel the outline of the body in the mind's eye. Feel all those activated life force vibrations. Okay, now bring your legs and feet back closer together. Do one last simple exercise, turning the head from right to left. So on an in-breath, turn your head to the right as far as you comfortably can. If you have a stiff neck, just be careful. Try to look over your right shoulder. On the out-breath, turn the head 180 degrees back to the left, to look over the left shoulder. In-breath back to the right. Concentrate into the neck vertebra. Out breath left. In breath right. Out breath left. On the in-breath, let the head stop in the center. Keep the eyes closed. Feel the whole body, the outline of the body. Start to feel that increased aliveness of the body. Basically just the vibrations of all the millions of cells vibrating, interacting due to the breathing exercise, producing all these life force vibrations, allowing the awareness to rest in the present moment. You can feel those subtle life force vibrations, that's the piti, the rapture. Okay, so mindfully come back to your seats, get ready for the sitting meditation. Start to keep your spine straight. Try to feel the natural inward curve of the lower lumbar spine. Helps to support the weight of the upper body. Kind of imagine or feel that spine going up through the center of your back, where it joins the skull. And feel your head balanced on top of the neck. Just gently close your eyes. Just feel your eyes in the sockets. Just feel your head balanced on top of the neck. Skin stretched over your face. And just try to feel the outline of the sitting body, the sense of the head on top, the arms at the sides, feet tucked underneath, the clothing touching the skin. Then begin some deep, slow breathing as we did in the yoga session. Just take 2 or 3 seconds to expand your abdomen, rib cage, and upper chest. Hold the air in the lungs 2 seconds. And slowly breathe out. Feel the last bit of air go out of the lungs. Just take several more deep, slow breaths like that, cultivating this present moment awareness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. And we're going to counting our breaths from 1 to 10 to try to develop a more continuous concentration on the breathing. I'll do the counting for you. Just try to follow that with your breathing and concentration. So with the next expanding in breath, mentally count to 1. Hold the breath a second. With the contracting out breath, also count to 1. Feel the last bit of air go out of the lungs. Next in breath, 2. Out breath, 2. In 3. Out 3. In 4. Out 4. In 5. Out 5. In 6. Out 6. In 7. Out 7. In 8. Out 8. In 9. Out 9. In 10. Out 10. Now discontinue the counting. Let your breathing return to its uncontrolled, short, irregular rhythm. We continue to feel it, to observe it. Just feel the residual expanding and contracting sensation of the breathing process. Especially try to feel whether clothing rubs against the skin of your stomach, rib cage, your chest, as it expands and contracts, producing sensation. It helps keep the mind awake, alert. Just knowing when the breath is coming in and knowing when the breath is going out. You know it by feeling it. To help stay focused, you can use these brief mental reminders of the present moment, in sitting, out, out, sitting, in sitting, out, out, sitting. Just the present moment, ongoing connection to this breathing body. Just let your thoughts come and go in the back of the mind. Keep the sensations of the breathing in the front of the awareness. Just tune into the 4 phases of each breath cycle. The expanding in-breath and the brief pause. The contracting out-breath and the brief pause. Just over and over and over again. In sitting. Out, out, sitting. Those brief pauses between the breaths, feel the outline of the sitting body, feel the subtle vibrations of the present moment. But at the same time, be alert for thoughts sneaking up into the mind to steal your attention away. you still have lots of thoughts, you can try counting the breaths from 1 to 10 again by yourself. See if you can make it to 10 by yourself without the mind either going to sleep or getting lost in thought. If you catch the mind lost in thoughts, forget where you're counting, start the counting again at 1. You have recurring thoughts that keep coming again and again, or that investigation of the Dhamma, analyze those thoughts until they go away. If the mind is sufficiently calmed down, if you're able to make it to 10 without the mind getting lost, just come back to the awareness of in, sitting, out, out, sitting, gradually opening up to the flow of impermanence. Investigate the mind as just being a continual process of feeling, perception, volition, consciousness, thoughts, emotions, just coming and going. Maintain that connection to the breathing body. Balance those factors of mindfulness and concentration. Concentration helps to keep the mind calm, but the mindfulness keeps the mind alert. Calm and alertness, that's the quality of meditation. From time to time, take a few three-part breaths to help keep the mind centered and awake in the body, in the breathing body. Let's turn up the power of the mental microscope to notice more subtler, finer sensations, details in the breathing body. Be alert for painful or pleasant sensations arising. If the mind thinks about them, In, sitting, out, out, sitting. Just keep coming back to recenter, reground in the present moment. Balancing mindfulness, investigation, concentration. Opening up to the flow of impermanence. Breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. So many different sensations come and go. Pleasure and pain come and go. Sounds come and go. Thoughts, urges, emotions come and go. Thoughts of I, me, or mine come and go. These are just a continuous flow of the body and mind phenomenon, body, mind, and world, the five aggregates of this body, mind, and world, in their nature of impermanence, constantly changing. And do you have any of those factors of enlightenment in yourself? How is your mindfulness, investigation, energy, joy, tranquility, concentration, equanimity? what thoughts arise based on that sound vibration. Sabbe sankhara anicchati yada panyaya pasati atane bindati dukkhi esamango visuddhiya dukkha patacani dukkha bhaya patacani bhaya soka patacani soka hontu sabbe pipanino. All conditioned things, the five aggregates of this body, mind, and world are impermanent. They arise only to briefly last and then vanish. When one sees this with the eye of wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with suffering. This is the path to freedom. And may the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear-struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. In this way, may all beings live with mindfulness and wisdom. And thus spoke the Buddha. Now I invite you to join finishing this meditation by reciting the word sadhu 3 times slowly. We do that chanting with the long out breath, feeling those vibrations in the body and mind. So go ahead and take a deep breath. Sadhu. Breathe. Sadhu. Breathe. Sadhu. Now mindfully place your hands at the edge of your knees. Take one more deep breath as you breathe in. Stretch the head back. Pull the hands on the knees to arch your spine backward. And lift the head up on an in-breath, and on the out-breath, press the chin to the top of the chest to stretch the neck vertebrae. And lift the chin up level on an in-breath. And relax on the out-breath. Put a smile on your face. Okay, friends. This brings our evening of Dhamma discussion and meditation to an end. Although, as I always say, mindfulness should never end. So I hope you all had at least some minutes of some good awareness, present moment awareness, and
Oh, yes, Bhante.
insights into impermanence.
That's great. It was a great time tonight. And it's going to send.
So try to, during the week, try to be aware of any of those factors of, 7 factors. If you experience any of them, or you experience the opposites, so at least during your meditation. So anyway, also during the day, don't forget to practice the M&Ms every hour, to stop for 1 minute, bring your mind back to the present moment, to the body. Take 2 or 3 deep, slow breaths, letting go of the neurotic push to the future. Recenter. Okay?
All right.
Be well, be safe, be mindful, be wise, and Namo Buddhaya.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Bhante.
Bhante.
Have a
Of
good
the
night.
other texts,
Sadhu.
will be unable to respond on top of that, will fall into vexation.
Good night,
Thank you,
everyone.
Bhante.